Ghana is home to over 2 million child brides. 1 in 5 young women were married or in union before their 18th birthday. The practice robs millions of girls of their childhood, their rights, and their dignity. To halt these practices, the Girls Advocacy Alliance organizations in Ghana trained selected traditional and religious leaders to use their influence to promote social norm change in order to end child marriage and gender-based violence in the communities. These groups of people are called champions of change.
Before the GAA, in our traditional setting, we had a practice where a woman would just come to her family and pick a girl, initially intended to be a maid servant, and later on just gives out for marriage to anybody in the family without the girl's consent. And there was also betrothal. That didn't help the girl. Lastly, there was also this issue where a man can impregnate a girl, and then the family will just say, take the girl home and take care of her. And then at the end of the day, the girl becomes the man's wife without the girl being prepared to marry. When the girl gets forcefully married in that way, she becomes dependent on the husband. And because she becomes so dependent on the husband, the husband becomes fed up with her and goes out to marry a better lady that will help him. And she finally ends up in her father's house. Nobody comes in to marry her again. And then she ends up in prostitution. We were trained on child abuse, child marriage, and gender-based violence. When I got back to my community, I sensitized the community on several ways. I meet families at the period where they are at home, and I interact with them on these 3 issues. I also get to them at the mosque level when Friday prayers, many people come to congregate. We also have meetings with chiefs and elders at the community level, and then we sensitize them. At the radio stations, we are able to talk to a larger area because the radio station is a district-wide radio station. I believe the GAA Champion of Change training has helped my community in several ways because the Social Welfare Department has declared 2 of my communities child marriage free. 3 girls have been rescued from child marriage. Several of them have been prevented from teenage pregnancy, and teenage mothers have re-enrolled in school and are doing well. A very classical example is this Fulani girl called Alima, whose uncle came to take her for marriage to his son. According to their tradition, the Fulani girl was for the senior brother and not his father, and so the father had nothing to say, and we got information and we had to intervene.
Ntolunika Alima, omo du sekuru, mala na li tamale, wole sukopi, omo pa ubio. Chichawa, ala jifachawa, ani chiche daramani wabaninko wule han, uyeru, mpita, mbeni, ba wule na tangare, ntamporo, bine omo sekuru operu, ulomisa.
When my father paid our Fulani culture, agreed with my uncle, have me married to his son, and the son too, I didn't know him as I'm talking now. So my mother had the information from our neighbors. He informed me and went and reported to my school teachers. They gathered a meeting involving my father and my uncle. The team then agreed that I should continue my education. I'm so grateful to the champion of training because he supported me to come back to school and continue my education again, so I'm so much excited.
Madam Susanna Hapentie Wibonto is a chemistry teacher and a change agent. She believes that empowering girls and women to be self-employed will go a long way to help stop practices of gender-based violence and child marriage.
In the past, most girls used to get pregnant, and one of the reasons being that their parents cannot afford their basic needs. So in their quest to get their basic needs that they want, they entertain men or they give themselves out to men, thereby getting pregnant. And when they get pregnant, the parents push them to the men to get married to, regardless the ages of their children. When these girls are given out in marriage, they face a lot of challenges. It can even lead to death. You become a burden on the man, you become a burden on your parents. Even the kids you bring forth, you cannot take good care of them, and so they also become a burden to society. As a chemistry teacher, I prepare liquid soap, shower gel, omo, bleach, bar soap for sale. I would have loved to monopolize the market by being the only person that sells them or does them for sale. But upon attending the capacity building workshop at WA on Girls Advocacy Alliance, I was enlightened on 4 thematic areas, that is child abuse, child marriage, domestic violence, and then the importance of TVET. So I realized that there was the need. I could use the kale of liquid soap and shower gel and soap making and all that. I could use it to empower the women and girls in my community as well as my students, to empower them and help them come out of poverty.
Sometimes, if you are like a lady, if you are menstruating, you can't go and tell your dad that, oh dad, I want money to go and buy pad. You can't say that. But through the Lucky Soap preparation, I was able to earn the money and buy my pad without depending on my father and my mother's side. I'm not over depending on my father again, and he's very happy and encouraged me to go to my school safely and finish the school. Through the Lucky Soap preparation, it has helped me to become dependent on myself, and I know it will surely help other girls to also be dependent on themselves.
As a champion of change, in my community, I move from house to house, inviting women and young girls to come for training on liquid soap preparation, shower gel, and all that. And they come in their numbers. I train them and I make them aware, or I tell them that as a champion of change is for free, and so I do it for free. I believe that this training I offered the women will go a long way to help them. They have a source of living, they have something to earn, they will support their husbands, so they will be respected by their husbands. It will go a long way to reduce domestic violence, since they wouldn't be asking their husbands for any penny at all that they need, but they will be dependent on their own. I believe that this training that I've given the girls will go a long way to help them, since they will be empowered to be able to make a living on their own, to do something and earn money for themselves, thereby buying their basic needs, so men will not exploit them and impregnate them, leading to child marriage. In my community, 6 villages have been declared child marriage free, and I hope the other communities will declare child marriage free very soon as well. I hope to see a community of free domestic violence and more empowerment of women and girl child.